Hello, this is John Robertson. I just recently returned from my first landscape photography workshop, and I want to take a few minutes to discuss why you may want to participate in a workshop, and if you do, how you can go about selecting your first workshop. So whether you're considering a workshop that is near your location or a place that you'll have to travel to, there are several benefits for participating in a workshop. The locations will already have been scouted by the workshop leader, which will save you a lot of time and a lot of legwork in knowing the locations and the compositions even at that area. The workshop leader will also be a highly skilled photographer, and they'll be able to assess in your settings, your setup, compositions, no matter what your skill level is. Also, it will allow you a great time to network with other photographers from near and far and share ideas, tips, and tricks. When you select your first workshop, there are a few things obviously you need to consider. First, I'd suggest reviewing the workshop leader's portfolio of the location that the workshop will be held. Look at their style or styles and see if it's something that would be of interest to you or benefit you in your photography. How organized is the workshop? Look to see what documentation there is. There should be a very detailed itinerary, suggested gear, and pointers for the area. Also look for other feedback from previous participants via Google or testimonials for previous workshops that leader has had. Hello, I'm at Blackwater Falls State Park in West Virginia, photographing waterfalls and sunsets. We're headed out to, I think it's Lindy Point Overlook, to photograph the sunset right now. And I'm with Jeffrey Tadlock from Jeffrey Tadlock Photography. I'll post a link to his social media pages below. So we're hiking out to the overlook, get some photos of it, and I'll be here for about 4 days getting some different waterfall photos, some different sunset photos from the overlooks. Thanks for joining. So it's the first workshop I've ever been on, actually, and so far it's actually nice because, you know, with Jeff, and he's been to these places before, so he's done all the scouting, he knows the locations, which is extremely helpful. And of course, if you'll jump over and look at Jeff's channel, you'll see he's a very good photographer as well. So great for getting tips and advice from. Does good technical reviews on equipment as well. So this is the overlook at Lindy Point. I'm going to sit here and wait for sunset to see what kind of compositions we get. Looks like there's a little bit of clouds that are going to show up in the sky, so we may get some color. Or we may have to wait after sunset. I guess we'll probably do both, and blue hour could be quite nice here to get the layers. Again, I'm out here with Jeffrey Tadlock Photography, master landscape photographer and guide. 0.4 seconds, f11. Little underexposed right now. I tend to prefer it that way, otherwise I'll blow out the highlights in the sky. But I'll continue to change this as the light changes and shifts a little bit. Maybe into blue hour here we'll get a little bit better look. Curious of what the shadows look like, and if I get any darker colors in there, that would be interesting. I've got, let's see, stabilization turned off since I'm on my tripod with a 2-second timer. So even though we didn't get a tremendous amount of color in the sky, it's just a beautiful location, and I really liked the shapes and the textures in the valley, the rock formation in front. So yeah, I think these are keepers. So in Douglas Falls today, photographing the waterfalls here with the workshop. It's still early morning, so we're waiting for the light to come in a little bit, but you can probably hear in the background just a lot of water flowing through this area. And there's, as you can see, a group of us looking around at different compositions. So I've got this little composition here, a little bit tighter than getting the full waterfall. Focuses in on the smaller fall
I really like the rock formations, the layering, the leading lines to the left of it. And it points up to the larger waterfall, which is only partially in frame. A little bit of it is hidden by the trees and the rocks, which to me kind of adds a little bit of a mystery to the shot. It's kind of a peekaboo of it. You see the smaller falls, the structures, and I kind of like the composition, at least sitting here. We'll see what it looks like once I get it processed.
Well, it turned out that wasn't my favorite composition in this area. And this is one of the great things about being with a guide, and Jeffrey knew this area so well. And he kept leading us on upstream and finding new compositions to photograph. To be honest with you, I think each step we took forward, the better composition I got. The last one was actually above the falls and these cascades, and probably turned out to be one of my favorite photos of this trip. So later that afternoon, we're on to a new location, and again, Jeffrey didn't disappoint. Just great guide, knew the locations to go to, the compositions to get, and another shot that I'm very happy with. Just before sunrise at Bear Rock Preserve, I believe it is, in the Dolly Sods wilderness area in West Virginia. So we're here before sunrise. Still trying to find a composition. Jeff's been helpful since he's been here before in suggesting some locations. You see we're going to get sunrise over here, and I know this doesn't show up very well here, but there's a lot of rock formations, which you'll be able to see a little bit later. Yeah, this is a very interesting place to photograph. Of course, we were up there so early with the low light, it was really tough to find the compositions. And again, this is one of the benefits with being with a workshop leader that knows the area. So I was able to get some shots in the blue hour, those nice cool tones. Really like those tones that I was getting. And then as the sun came up and started warming up the area, still able to get some nice textures. Was meandering around quite a bit and found this last composition where the fog was just burning off below. Got some interesting light formations coming down through there. So this is another one of the shots that I really liked out of this trip.